So, about a month ago, my totally real and not fake arch nemesis Lemon released a video titled, "Can you beat Pikmin 3 without fruit?" And, like all of his Pikmin videos, the quality of gameplay was, let's just say, questionable. He did technically beat the run with no fruits, but it took him 15 days and he had to use an exploit to do it. You see, there are some fruits in Pikmin 3 that are collected in pieces. For example, one of the fruits is a bunch of grapes, and if you collect 19 out of the 20 grapes, you still get juice for the grapes you collected. But it won't count as a full fruit because you didn't collect the entire bunch. And he basically used this exploit to give him enough juice for 15 days. Overall, Lemon collected 18 grapes, half a kiwi, half a starfruit, 5 watermelon pieces, half another kiwi, half another starfruit, 1 more starfruit, 1 more kiwi, 19 grapes, 19 more grapes, and finally, once again, 19 grapes. For 79 pieces of fruit in total. And since he never technically collected these fruits in full, the game just assumed that he never collected any fruits at all. So when his run was over, his total fruit score showed 0. Even though he got juice and collected fruits, it still showed 0. But I don't care what the game thinks. In my eyes, he still collected fruits. So I wanted to collect less than him. And since he technically collected 0 fruits, I would have to collect less than 0 to beat him. And the only way to do that is to collect less pieces than him. See? The thumbnail's not clickbait, it's relevant to the video. And it's honestly not Lemon's fault that he still had to collect fruit, because you have to beat the game. You only start off with 3 canisters of juice, and it's impossible to beat this game in 3 days. So it begs the question, what is the least amount of fruit you need to beat Pikmin 3? Even if it's just pieces, what is the absolute lowest amount you need to beat the game? And honestly, it's a question that I didn't really want to answer. I didn't want to make this video. That is, until I saw this.
So, if anyone wants to give this run a try to see if they can beat it faster and more effectively, feel free. Go on. Do it. You won't.
Lemon, you and your little Firebomb Academy are going down. So, to beat Pikmin 3 with the least amount of fruits possible, we're gonna have to beat the game in the least amount of days possible, which is currently 7 days. You need 1 day to complete the tutorial, 1 to beat the mod ad, another to beat the Frostbat, a 4th to beat the Mirror Slug, a 5th to beat the Scornet Maestro, another to beat the Miraclops, and finally a 7th day to beat the Plasm Wraith. There isn't any known way of skipping any of these days, so 7 is the number we're gonna have to work with. And since the game starts us out with 3 canisters of juice, we're gonna have to find enough fruits to get us an extra 3 days. And I know what you're thinking. Didn't you just say it takes 7 days to beat the game? Wouldn't you have to find enough fruit for 4 extra days? Well, you'd be right, but the last day, day 7, you don't actually need any juice for. Because once you beat the boss, you leave the planet and juice becomes irrelevant. So we need enough fruits for exactly 3 days. Which is gonna be tough because different fruits give you different amounts of juice. So we need to find the exact right combination of fruits that gives us exactly 3 canisters. Because if we have any more than that, it'll start to fill a 4th canister, which is technically juice we don't need. Which means at that point we've collected too many fruits. And we're supposed to be collecting the least amount possible, so yeah, that won't work. So basically, we need to beat the game as fast as humanly possible, all while collecting the right combination of fruits to get us exactly 3 days worth of juice. Sounds like fun, right? Yeah, it kinda sucked. But anyways, here's the run. So like I mentioned earlier, day 1 is just a tutorial day. We find yellows with Charlie and then he gets captured by the Frostbat. Then we find reds with Elf and eventually make it to the SS Drake. Since it's meant to be a tutorial, you can't really change the outcome of day 1. There's no fruits to collect, and there's not even a time limit. The only thing that really happens is that we use one of our 3 canisters of juice. which means we're already down to 2, and the run really hasn't even started yet. Day 2 is where we can start making an impact on this run. To progress the story and unlock the next level, we need to collect the Data Glutton, which is dropped by the area's boss, the Maw Dad. But before we do that, we need to find Rock Pikmin and save Brittany. And this all has to be done in a single day. And honestly, it's really not that hard. We start off by getting some Pikmin to break down this wall and grab these bridge pieces. We then throw some Pikmin over this broken bridge and get them working on the wall. Meanwhile, the rest of the Pikmin finish the bridge and the wall is broken down as we make it over. Next, we find Rock Pikmin and save Brittany. We then use the Rock Pikmin to break down this wall and build a bridge leading to the boss, who we end up reaching with only a quarter of the day remaining. Thankfully, we can use a strat where we break the armor on his tail and then charge all our Pikmin on him, killing him pretty quickly. And with that, we collect the Data Glutton and unlock the Distant Tundra. And like I said before, this day really wasn't that hard. There wasn't really any crazy traits or strats, we just had to be fast. And let me tell you right now, that's about to change. Because the upcoming levels are a lot more involved, and they're supposed to take more than 1 day to beat. So, we're gonna have to pull out some crazy shit. And we'll be pulling out that crazy shit right away because day 3 is tough. To progress through the level, you need to build these 2 bridges to save Brittany. Once Brittany is saved, you can make your way to the Phosbat's cave, kill him, and save Charlie. The problem is, doing this takes a long time. You need to first find all the bridge pieces scattered around the Distant Tundra, then once Elf and Brittany are reunited, you need to get to the top of this hill and push this iron ball so it can break down this wall. Once the walls are broken, you can go inside the cave, do a puzzle, fight a couple enemies, and finally make it to the boss, who you need to kill before the day is over. And doing this all in 1 day, again, is difficult. In fact, it actually caused Lemon a bunch of trouble in his run. Even after many resets, he couldn't beat the Distant Tundra in 1 day. So he had to go back to days 2 and 3 and condense them into 1. Just so he would have enough juice to spend 2 days in the Distant Tundra. But we don't really have that option, because we have to beat the game in 7 days, which means we can only spend 1 day here. But don't worry, we are going to finish this level in 1 day. Because here at Press A, we do what Lem don't. Okay, it doesn't really work, but it's close enough. So, in other videos, I've already shown off how you can beat the Distant Tundra in a single day. You can use the dodge whistle to roll off this pot and get out of bounds, walk in the out of bounds area until you reach this river, go in it, and then fall into the void, which will spawn you behind this bag. Or you can use the snitch bud to get out of bounds and do the same thing. Or, if you're super lucky and own the Switch version, you can just walk straight up the wall. Either way, all these traits end in the same way. You end up by this bag, push it down, and enter the cave from the opposite side. Which, to be fair, is the quickest way to get to the Phosbat. But, since you guys have already seen them, I wanted to show off something new, even if it's a bit slower. First, we need to escape the cave with Brittany, then grab the dodge whistle with Elf. Once we have the dodge whistle, we can throw some rock Pikmin over the river, break down this gate, and then use them to get to the top of this hill. Now we need to throw our Pikmin up here, and with this precise dodge roll, we can roll onto this ledge and get out of bounds. Once that's done, we can walk over to where the iron ball is, throw some Pikmin on it, and break down the wall. To do this normally, you usually need 2 captains because you have to throw it up on this little ledge. But by doing this little out of bounds trick, we can skip any need for it, and any need to build the 2 bridges, which obviously saves a bunch of time. We do still need Elf for a trick coming up, so we're gonna have to go into the cave, head for the exit, and then whistle Elf and his Pikmin. Once he's in our party, we can re-enter the cave and he'll just magically teleport to us. Now, with a well-placed throw, we can get Elf up on this rock, which will give him full access to the car battery. If we then throw some yellow Pikmin up to him, he can throw them on the battery, connecting the circuit and lighting the main light bulb in the cave, which allows us now to kill the Phosbat with ease, and skips us having to light any other light bulb in the cave or build this bridge. And even with all these tricks, we are still barely able to kill him before the end of the day. Thankfully, the Phosbat is one of the only fights in the game where you don't need to bring something back to the ship to progress the story, because we literally would not have enough time to do so. But thankfully, just saving Charlie is enough for us to unlock the Tropical Wilds, which is where we're headed to next. And I don't know if you've noticed yet, but we haven't collected a single fruit in this run so far. And we just used up our last canister of juice. So on day 4, we're gonna have to find some fruit. And thankfully, the boss in this area drops one of those fruits that's made up of pieces. As I mentioned before, if we don't collect every piece of the watermelon, it won't actually count as a full fruit, but it'll still give us juice. So our goal today is to get to the Mirror Slug, kill it, and grab 5 pieces of the watermelon, and leaving the 6th piece behind. And even though the Tropical Wilds is a shorter level, it's still kind of deceivingly long. The boss fight itself is probably one of the slowest in the game, and bringing everything back after the fight always seems to cause issues. As you can see here, when Lemon tries to bring back the Mirror Slug, it causes a traffic jam that completely ruins his day. So to make sure we have enough time after the fight, we're gonna forego doing the level the normal way, and speed things up a bit. If we throw Brittany and Charlie into the river and then walk over towards this old pipe, we can pick up Brittany with Charlie, then turn Charlie's body so Brittany clips into this wall, then let her go and dismiss her. If done right, she will fall out of bounds and respawn on this ledge near the bag. We then need to walk back a bit to hit a trigger to get rid of an invisible wall blocking the bag. Once that's done, we can throw our Pikmin up on the ledge, push the bag down, which will now give us full access to the boss. This skips the entire section where we have to build the bridge, break down this wall, and do the puzzle with the stump, which allows us to get to the Mirror Slug with 3/4 of the day left. We dispatch of him and made sure that the folded data glutton and our 5 watermelon pieces get home safely. And pay attention, because this is where shit gets really weird. When we end the day, it shows we only collected 4 pieces of watermelon, but we 100% collected 5. You can see here, I put a Pikmin on 5 pieces. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We only leave the little piece behind, that's it. So, at first I thought maybe one of the pieces didn't make it back and the Pikmin somehow died, but no. I checked over the footage and every piece made it back. But then I noticed something. Normally, when you collect a piece of fruit, an icon will appear on the right side of the screen, showing you what fruit you've collected for the day. And when the first watermelon piece entered the ship, this icon didn't appear. And I thought maybe it was a weird quirk with the watermelon, like maybe the first piece doesn't register for some reason. But no, I checked other Let's Plays on YouTube, and the icon totally shows up for the first piece. In fact, when you collect all 6 pieces, it'll make a full watermelon. But that wouldn't happen for us. If we collected that last small piece, we would still only have 5. And this is where it gets even weirder. When we go to juice the first watermelon piece, we can see that there's already juice in the canister. And that's impossible, because that only happens when you've collected fruit on a previous day. And we haven't collected any fruit. This is the first fruit we've gotten. So, what the hell is going on here? Well, what I think happened is the game just didn't register that first piece of watermelon, but still gave us juice for it. You can see that the juice is the exact same color as the other juice the watermelon makes. So, it must be from a watermelon, and we literally haven't collected any other fruit, so it's the only thing I could think of. If you know what's going on here, please let me know in the comments, because this one really confused me. But now, it puts us in a really interesting position. We got juice like we collected 5 pieces of watermelon, but the game only thinks that we collected 4. And this run is about collecting the least amount of fruits possible. So, even though this is potentially a glitch, I'm gonna take it. we got free juice from a piece of fruit that doesn't exist. As far as the game knows, we've only collected 4 pieces of watermelon, so that's what I'm going with. And I should mention, these 4 watermelon pieces give us 2 full canisters of juice. And almost nearly a third one. Which is perfect because it means we only need to find 1 small piece of fruit to make a third canister. And once we have 3, that's all we need for the rest of this run. We'll drink 1 today, use 1 on day 5, and then 1 on day 6. So with that, we leave the tropical wilds and head on to the Twilight River. And the Twilight River, like the distant tundra before it, is incredibly hard to beat in a single day. There is so much you have to do. You need to build this bridge, find winged Pikmin, sprout winged Pikmin, lift up this stick to unleash the lily pads, ride a lily pad down to the second half of the level, break down this wall, build this bridge, and then finally fight the boss. Oh yeah, and you have to bring back Louie as well. You have to do all of this in 1 day. And obviously, we're not going to do all this because we have some more traits to help speed things up. So the first thing we need to do is perform Winged Onion early. And if you're a fan of this channel, you've probably seen me do this before. If we walk into this corner where the lily pad and the rock meet, and hold our joystick at a very specific angle, we will phase right through the wall and fall out of bounds, respawning us on the other side of the river. We then need to throw 3 rock Pikmin into the river and whistle them with Elf. Now we can use the 3 rods to kill the spider and save the winged Pikmin. We sprout enough wings to lift up the stick, then throw some Pikmin up on this ledge and charge them at the bed so they can push it down. This gives us a shortcut to the second half of the level. We then ride the lily pad down and throw Brittany and 2 winged Pikmin onto the shore and make a little detour for some fruit. Oh yeah, cause I forgot to mention, we still have to collect fruit. We need the smallest amount of juice to fill up the 3rd canister. And we need the perfect amount of fruit to do it. Too little, and it won't fill up the canister fully. And if there's too much, it'll start filling up a 4th. Which, at that point, we've collected too much fruit because we have extra juice that we don't need. So, we need to find a fruit that gives us a very small amount of juice. And it just so happens that the perfect fruit is right along our path. If we take control of Brittany and take our 2 winged Pikmin, we can walk over towards this little alcove and find a bunch of grapes. And grapes are absolutely perfect for us. Each grape gives a very small amount of juice, and we can collect them individually. So, we just need to find the right amount of grapes that will give us the exact juice we need to fill up the 3rd canister. At first, I tried 7, and it was way too much. Then I tried 1, and it was too little. Then I tried 2, and it was perfect. 5 watermelon pieces and 2 grapes gives us exactly 3 canisters of juice, which is all we need for this run, so we're officially done collecting fruit. But we do still have to beat the level, so let's get back to that. So after we're done getting the 2 grapes with Brittany, we swap back to Elf and get 10 red Pikmin to start collecting berries. Next, we charge the rest of the Pikmin at this wall, swap back to Brittany, and then bring her over to meet up with the rest of the squad. This is necessary because we're going to need all 3 captains for this next trick. If we throw Brittany and Charlie up on this route and then throw Charlie on this ledge, we can walk into this corner at a very specific angle and clip through the wall. Once we're far enough into the wall, we can walk a bit and fall out of bounds, which will respawn us on this walkway that leads to the boss. Then we can gather up all our Pikmin with Elf, swap back to Charlie, whistle them, and then take the loading zone. If done right, all of our Pikmin will be with us when we enter the boss arena. Doing this trick saves us from having to build this big bridge, which saves a bunch of time. As you can see, we've already reached the boss and it's not even halfway through the day yet. And luckily for us, there's a way you can kill him pretty quickly too. If you throw a Pikmin to the opposite side of the arena and swap to them, the boss will lock onto that captain and start attacking them. You can then swap back to your captain with the Pikmin and just start attacking him right away, which saves a bunch of time because you don't have to wait until his attack is over. It actually works for both his charge attack and his ring attack. And if you do it properly, you can beat the boss in no time at all. I did kind of fuck up the first attack by accidentally dismissing my Pikmin instead of charging them, but other than that, the fight went smoothly and we take him down. But now we only have a quarter of the day left to get Louie back to the ship. Which might sound easy until you remember that we didn't actually build the bridge to get up here. So when the Pikmin bring Louie down to the bridge, they are stopped by an invisible wall. But if we quickly whistle our Pikmin off Louie and then put them back on him and keep doing this over and over again, we can somehow jankily clip his body through that wall. And after that, it's just a straight shot back to the base. But even still, we barely make it back to the base before the end of the day countdown starts. Out of all the days in this run, day 5 was by far the worst. There is just so much to do and the timing was so tight. I have a full 2 hours of footage on my computer that's just called Day 5 Fail. It honestly probably took me like 7 or 8 tries to finally get the timing down. But once I did, we got Louie, and our 2 grapes needed to complete the 3rd canister of juice. And thankfully, day 6 is a lot easier than day 5. There is a lot less to do in the second half of the Garden of Hope than there was in the Twilight River. Normally, you're supposed to build this platform, throw some captains across, and then build this bridge. Which should, in theory, give you enough time to beat the Myreclops, but he can be a deceptively hard boss. As you can see here, Lemon loses his entire squad to 1 attack. And obviously, we don't want that to happen. So we're gonna have to find a quicker way to beat the first half of the level so we can take our time and beat the boss properly. If we use the same trick we used back on day 4, we can get Brittany to clip out of bounds and respawn on the other side of the bridge. Now, if we break down this wall and position Elf and our Pikmin in the right spot, we can swap back to Brittany and grab our Pikmin with a very precise whistle. If we do this quickly and then hit the loading zone, they will teleport to us just like they did back on day 5. And this gets us to the boss without even a quarter of the day being finished yet. And I lied. The Myreclops isn't a deceptively hard boss. Lemon's just too used to those easy Dark Souls bosses. But I, a true gamer, will show you how to dispose of the Myreclops in a swift and consistent fashion. Fuck! The first thing you do is wait until the Myreclops stomps his foot down, then you charge all your Pikmin on it. Once he falls, break the rock on his back, and then do the exact same thing to his foot again. And now, this is where the special spice comes in. We need to use our spicy spray, get on his back, and wait until he does his tongue attack. As soon as he does, we want to charge all of our Pikmin at him. This will do an insane amount of damage. And when the Myreclops takes a ton of damage, he will try and butt the Pikmin off. If we call our winged Pikmin off of him before he does this, and then charge them right back on after, they'll keep attacking him while everyone else is knocked off. And if done right, it'll just kill him in 1 cycle, making a fight that's usually pretty long into one that's actually pretty quick. Like, look at the time. It's only a quarter of the way through the day, and we're already finished the level. All we have to do now is finish building the bridge and bring Louie back to the ship, and we're done. I do spend some time building up our wind and blue Pikmin numbers, but other than that, we end the day and head back to the ship. And that night on the ship, we finish off our last canister of juice. And since there's no fruits in the Formidable Oak, it means we have to make our way through the level and beat the boss all in a single day. Or we'll just starve. And again, these levels aren't designed to be completed in a single day.
I had to admit to myself that this simply wasn't a fight I was going to be able to win in a single day. It takes too long to solve all the puzzles, and even if I were able to escape the tree by the end of the day, we'd still have an entire boss fight to get through.
See? I told you, it's hard. Luckily, if you know what you're doing, it's really not that bad beating the Formidable Oak in a single day. First, we can start off by throwing some Pikmin on this ledge and charging them at the bag, which basically skips this whole section with the bulb orbs and sand wall. Next, we can quickly break down this crystal and start partially building this bridge. I say partially because we don't actually need to build it the entire way. We just have to build it enough where we can hit the spider with our rock Pikmin and then throw Brittany across. And since we have winged Pikmin carrying Almar, they will just follow her over the gap. Now, we want to place Elf right beside the bridge, swap back to Brittany, turn around, whistle Elf and our Pikmin, and hit the loading zone. If done right, all of our Pikmin will follow us to the final room. Then we want to grab some yellows and bring them across this body of water, throw them on this ledge, then walk into this corner with Charlie and Brittany and clip Brittany through the wall. She can then use the yellow Pikmin we threw up on the ledge earlier to head for the exit and escape with Olimar, getting us to the final boss with half of the day left. We then proceed to beat his ass and finish the fight before the end of the day. So overall, we finished the run in 7 days, and it only required 7 pieces of fruit to do so. 5 pieces of watermelon and 2 grapes. Really, it was 4 pieces of watermelon because the game glitched out, but we'll call it 5 because that's what it's supposed to be. And that's cool and all, but after I finished the run, I realized I made a big mistake. I was so focused on beating Lemon's number of 79 pieces that I didn't even realize we could take this number even lower. My 7 pieces of fruit were already pretty low, but it wasn't the lowest. What if I told you we could cut that number in half? What if I told you we could beat the game with only 3 pieces of fruit? Let me introduce you to the star fruit. The star fruit is a fruit that is split up into 2 halves, and each half will give you 1 full canister of juice. And again, if we only collect half of it, the game won't actually think that we collected any fruit. There are 3 star fruits in the entire game. 1 in the Distant Tundra, 1 in the Tropical Wilds, and 1 in the Garden of Hope. If we could theoretically collect half of each of these star fruits, it would give us 3 canisters exactly, while only collecting 3 pieces of fruit. The problem is, it would mean we would have to reroute days 3, 4, and 6. Rerouting day 6 is fine because we had so much extra time anyway, so it wouldn't really matter. But rerouting days 3 and 4 is a problem. I don't know if you remember, but days 3 and 4 were pretty tight, especially day 3. And these star fruits are really out of the way. The star fruit in the Distant Tundra, for example, is attained by beating Shaggy Longlegs, who is locked behind this gate you need winged Pikmin for. And the star fruit in the Tropical Wilds requires you to build 2 bridges and do this skill puzzle to obtain it. Getting both of these fruits adds a ton of extra time onto days where we have no time to spare. So it is going to be tricky, but this is theoretically the lowest amount of fruit required to beat the game, so I had to try. So the first thing we have to do is go back and redo day 3. We have to somehow find time to get the Shaggy Longlegs, kill him, and bring the fruit back, in a day that we have no extra time. And we can't even get to him because we don't have winged Pikmin. Well, thankfully for us, there's a trick that solves both of these problems. It's called Shaggy Longlegs Early. We have to first throw yellow Pikmin up on this ledge, then walk into this wall where you normally push the iron ball down. If we do it right, we'll end up on top of the wall. We then have to hold forward so we can walk along this wall at the top. Then we have to carefully make our way around this route and dodge the loading zone that will take us outside of the cave. And dodging this loading zone was really annoying. You can't see where it is, so you basically have to guess when trying to avoid it. I did eventually make it through, and after that, all we had to do was clip into this route and drop down to where our yellow Pikmin were. And once we exit the cave, it'll take us right to the Shaggy Longlegs fight. And I don't know if you noticed, but the day hasn't even started yet, even though we left the cave. Since we exited the cave in a way we weren't supposed to, the game still thinks we're doing the yellow Pikmin tutorial, which you normally have an unlimited amount of time to do. So we can literally take as long as we want to kill him because the day won't start until we actually leave the cave normally. And on my first attempt, I did end up beating him, but I lost so many Pikmin that I wasn't able to push the iron ball down the hill and escape the cave. So I had to try again. And on my second try, I didn't lose a single Pikmin. So I was able to escape the cave with the starfruit. But now we've come to another problem. To actually get the starfruit back to the ship, we have to build the bridge. So even though Shaggy didn't take any extra time, building this bridge will. We're basically gonna have to complete this level like normal in a single day. And like I mentioned at the start of the video, this is very hard. But after multiple attempts, I was able to beat Shaggy, get the starfruit, build the bridge, break open the cave wall, and find the Phosbat. But by the time I did, the hurry up warning had already begun. So I had a few precious minutes to actually beat him. I obviously didn't have enough time to build the bridge leading to the car battery, so I had to throw Elf up on this rock again. We then got our yellow Pikmin on the battery and started our assault on the Phosbat. We ended up beating him with 2 seconds left in the day. If I didn't throw Elf up on that rock, we wouldn't have made it. There's just no way. It was so close. But thankfully we did, and I don't have to do that bullshit over again. So now we have to redo day 4. Our goal is to do the scale puzzle, get the star fruit, then beat the mirror slug. And this wasn't easy. I had to route this day to perfection to give myself a chance to do this. First I threw 40 red Pikmin over the bridge, then charged the rest on this wall. Next I swapped to Brittany, got Pikmin on the bridge pieces, and started the others on this wall. Then I swapped back, killed this bulb orb, and got my Pikmin digging up bombs. After I swapped back to Brittany, got 8 Pikmin to dig up these bombs, got 5 to start collecting berries, then got the rest to dig up these bridge pieces. Next, I made my way over with the other captains and blew up the stone wall, grabbing the other Pikmin along the way. I then got some Pikmin on the big pile of bridge pieces, then threw 3 on this smaller pile. Once that was done, I completed the scale puzzle and got the star fruit. I then went all the way back and threw my captains across the stump, pushed down the bag, and made it to the mirror slug. And I actually found a consistently fast way to beat him. The first thing he'll do is go underground and try to eat your Pikmin. All you have to do then is throw a bomb in his mouth and attack him when he shoots up. The next 2 attacks he'll do will be above ground, so you can just follow him and attack him as soon as he surfaces. Then his last attack will always be this really big one where he turns the entire arena into a pit. Use your last bomb on him, then spicy spray your Pikmin and attack him to end the fight. I'm not sure if the fight always plays out like this, but I beat him 6 or 7 times like this and it seemed pretty consistent. Anyways, we grabbed the folded data glutton and got ready to end the day. Wait, where's the star fruit? There's no Pikmin back at base, that's weird. No, what? Yep, all my Pikmin bringing back the star fruit died to these stupid fucking slugs. And I didn't have enough time left in the day to bring it back to the ship. So, I have to do everything over again. Yay. So, I did everything over again and actually managed to bring the star fruit back to the ship this time, which ends our day in the tropical wilds and leads us back to the Twilight River. And day 5 actually got easier, because we no longer have to take the detour to collect the 2 grapes. So I completed day 5 like we did earlier in the video, and was ready to move on to day 6 to collect our last piece of fruit. So we landed and headed to the second half of the Garden of Hope. Wait, what the hell? Why is the wall still here? Why didn't Louis blow it up? What? So, it turns out Louis won't steal the juice and blow up the wall if you have no juice to steal. And since we only got 2 canisters of juice so far, we have no juice left for day 6. I was planning on getting the 3rd one today, but we can't do that if the wall isn't broken. The reason it worked last time was because we got all 3 canisters of juice before day 6. So, he had 1 canister to steal. But now that he doesn't, we can't progress anymore, which means we can't beat the game with only 3 fruits. And then I realized this whole time I was just being really stupid. We can still beat the game with 3 fruits, and we can actually do it a lot easier. We don't have to get all the star fruits. All we have to do is get the star fruit from Shaggy Longlegs in the distant tundra, which will give us 1 canister. Then we can beat the mirror slug and take the large watermelon piece and the medium piece back to the ship, which will then give us 2 more canisters, which means we will have 1 canister of juice for day 6 so Louis can steal it and blow up the wall, meaning we can beat the game with only 3 pieces of fruit while still making the game think we've collected none. All we have left to do now is actually do it. So I do day 4 again, and since we don't have to collect any star fruits, it's actually super easy. We collect 2 watermelon pieces, get our 2 canisters of juice, and proceed to go on and beat the game. Wow, this one went on way longer than I thought it would. When I first started making this video, my goal was just to beat Lemon, but then I got obsessed and had to find the absolute lowest amount of fruits you could beat the game with. If we could use full fruits, we could probably beat the game with only 2 fruits. But it was important to me that the game still thought we had collected nothing. So we had to use fruits that were collected in pieces. And using that limitation, I think 3 pieces is the absolute lowest you could go. There are only 12 fruits in the game that are collected in pieces. 5 of them are grapes, which obviously we can't use because it would take way too many. 3 of them are kiwis, which gives you 0.75 canisters of juice per half. So even if we collected all 3 of them, it would only give us 2.25 canisters of juice. So those are out too. 3 more of them are star fruits, and I've already explained the problem with using just star fruits. And the last one is the watermelon. So this combination of 1 star fruit, the medium and large piece of watermelon, is the only way we can get 3 canisters of juice before day 6. And still make the game think we haven't collected any full pieces of fruit. This is the absolute lowest amount of fruit required to beat the game. If you think you can bring the number lower, give it a try yourself. I would love to see if there was a way to beat this game with 1 or 2 pieces of fruit, but I just don't think there is. But I would still love to see it. And Lemon, don't feel too bad. 79 is still a good number. And hey, at least you beat the game this time, right?